half of the FCS Checkdown. First half, we got a chance to talk to Long Island University head coach Ron Cooper about their big win, FBS opponent, Eastern Michigan. It was the Sharks taking down Eastern Michigan. They needed a bigger boat, in my opinion. Yeah, a big FCS win for Long Island, and appreciate Coach Cooper joining us in the first half. Second half, it's going to be me flying solo as Coach Jackson had a family emergency and Brandon's doing daddy duty. So let's go ahead and get into our game recaps. Later in this episode, we will have Coach JoelTaylor from West Georgia talking about their win this weekend against a ranked opponent. But we're going to dive right back in as we stopped off with Brandon Joseph talking about the FCS recap. Here is the game that was a bit of a shocker. It was Presbyterian non-scholarship football picking up a huge win against Furman, 39-38. This was an overtime win. Presbyterian overcame a 21-point deficit, prevailing 39-38 in overtime win at Furman for its second straight SoCon upset. Quarterback Colin Hurst threw 5 touchdowns, including a game-winning toss to Nathan Levecki, who also hauled in a decisive 2-point conversion. The Blue Hose defense clamped down in the second half, forcing turnovers, limiting Furman's offense to fuel a comeback. It was a huge win for the Blue Hose. Presbyterian, 444 yards of total offense, 3 turnovers gained, 6 for 13 on third down conversions. It was Furman's rushing game that was non-existent. They had 362 yards through the air, 452 yards total. They did win the time of possession battle and the third down conversions, but Presbyterian got it done. Congratulations to Presbyterian. They're now 2-0 non-scholarship football, 2 wins over ranked opponents in the FCS. So big time win for Presbyterian. Furman's got to go back to the drawing board. They've got to figure it out because this is not a good win for their program. They say F you all the time. I'm sure they're saying that a lot right now for the Paladins, losing Presbyterian 39-38. Up next, it was a game in Delaware. This is a huge win for first-time head coach Deshaun Jackson, former NFL player. He gets his first win just like Michael Vick. 37-32 was the score. Delaware State secured its first win of the season with that victory over UAlbany, powered by a late 27-yard touchdown run in the final minute. The Hornets racked up 554 total yards, including 369 yards on the ground, led by Caden Bennett's 3 rushing touchdowns. Despite weather delays, Delaware State University's offensive balance and defense stopped key moments provided and proved to be enough to hold off the Great Danes. You see there, 554 yards of total offense, 369 rushing. That is a fierce run game for Delaware State. 185 yards passing. They won the time of possession. That always goes hand in hand with a victory for Delaware State. Congratulations to Deshaun Jackson, picking up his first ever win as a head coach for the Hornets. UAlbany's got to go back to the drawing board. This is a once very proud program, and they couldn't get it done, couldn't find a way to get it done against a Delaware State team that struggled as of late, but they found a way for the Delaware State Hornets to get it done over the Great Danes, 37-32. All right, let's take a look at Chattanooga and Tennessee Tech. All of a sudden, Tennessee Tech, the Golden Eagles, out of nowhere becoming an extremely good football program. They're number 17th in the country. 45-17 was the final score. And it was the Golden Eagles improving to 2-0 for the first time since 2012. Transfer quarterback from Eastern Washington, Kiko Vesperis, threw for 240 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Aiden Littles contributed scores rushing and receiving. The Golden Eagles defense limited the Mocs to just 25 rushing yards, forcing 2 turnovers, and recorded 4 sacks in a dominant outing. That is a huge win against Chattanooga for Tennessee Tech. Congratulations to them. They are playing extremely good football there in Cookeville, Tennessee. All right, the big game that everybody seemed to be watching was the South Dakota State and Montana State. This was a huge win for the Jackrabbits, number 2 over number 3. It was on the road for South Dakota State. Big-time win, top 5 showdown. South Dakota State edges number 3, Montana State, 30-24. In double overtime it took to finish this one. Quarterback Chase Mason threw a pair of overtime touchdowns, including the game winner to Bryden Delahoyde, while Lofton Ogroski hauled in 12 catches for 141 yards and 2 scores. South Dakota State's defense held on 4th down in the second overtime to secure the road victory before a Gold Rush crowd in Bozeman. This is a very difficult place to play. You're in the shadow of the Rocky Mountains there in Montana State. It's all they have is football. This was a huge win for South Dakota State. You take a look at the numbers, 297 yards of total offense for the Jackrabbits. They held the ball for over 30 minutes of the football game. How about this on third down conversions, though? Just 1 for 13 for the Jackrabbits. And you got to scratch your head how they get it done. It was a balanced rushing attack and passing attack, and they held the ball in key points of the contest. Montana State, 210 yards rushing, passing 139 yards, 349 yards on the ground. They actually won the turnover battle, 5 for 15. Montana State looks like they really should have won this game, and it looked like they were going to go and pick up the win over the number 2 team in the country. But Jackrabbits said not so fast. They picked up the win against Montana State, and that is how it rolls. South Dakota State improves to 1-1. Montana State also now at 1-1 for the 2025 season. Other games of note, we'll bundle these games here and try to kind of go through them. Lehigh earned its first win of the season with a 28-10 triumph over Sacred Heart at Goodman Stadium. Sacred Heart's Dean Hangy returned the opening kickoff 91 yards for a touchdown, but the Mountain Hawks controlled the game on both sides of the ball using a balanced offensive attack and stingy defense that kept the Pioneers at bay throughout the contest. 6 rushers combined for 286-yard effort on the ground, led by junior Luke Yoder. You've remember his name from last year, who carried 12 times, 127 yards, and a touchdown. As my dog brings a toy in here to play. What you got, Bo? He's got a little squeaky toy. There you go. Indiana State and Eastern Illinois. It was Indiana State put together a commanding performance there at Memorial Stadium, defeating the Panthers 38-14. The Sycamores' offense rolled behind an efficient passing game and strong ground attack. The Sycamores snapped a 2-game losing streak to the Panthers with the win. It was in Indiana State. The Sycamores 38-14. I thought that'd be much more of a contest than it was, but you know what? The Sycamores got it done. Congratulations to them. Bucknell picked up a road victory, 34-23, with a win over Marist, powered by a timely passing attack and opportunistic defense. The Bisons built an early lead and withstood a late Red Fox rally, moving to 2-0 for the first time since 2011. Tariq Thomas led the offensive charge as he rushed for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ralph Rucker, the fourth, went 18 for 23, 236 yards through the air, and TJ Caden had 104 yards as well, receiving. Sam Milligan 87 yards. Both broke career records in receiving yards. Freshman Logan Busen recorded his first career interception in the first half, and Terrion Williams II and Deuce Jeter placed the defense with 13 tackles each. And that is a big-time number for those guys. 13 tackles is a lot. They got it done. And then you had Wagner visiting Georgetown. This is Georgetown 31-20 win. Georgetown remained unbeaten with that home victory. The Hoyas offense capitalized on short fields while the defense came up with stops in the red zone to keep the Seahawks from closing the gap. Nicholas Dunneman returned a punt for 55-yard touchdowns. Quarterback Quincy Briggs recorded 2 interceptions for Georgetown. Again, they are 2-0 on the season. Congratulations to Georgetown. And then North Dakota State. You don't usually see North Dakota State kind of mixed in with a bundle. You kind of highlight those guys being the number 1 team in the nation. But they blew out Tennessee State. It was not a contest. Number 1, North Dakota State flexed its muscle with a 59-3 win at Tennessee State. The Bisons racked up points in every phase of the game, overwhelming the Tigers with a punishing rushing attack and defense that surrendered only the first quarter field goal. North Dakota State running back Barika Knew, it's Kpeenu, you pronounce it. Kipinu, and we'll figure it out. Barika Kipinu scored 3 first-half touchdowns. Linebacker Donovan Woolen had a 34-yard touchdown return that helped the Bisons build a 45-0 lead before halftime. 9 different receivers caught passes for NDSU, and they were led by Rajah Nelson, Bryce Lance, and Finn Diggins. And it's Coach Taylor calling in here. Let's get him assigned in here. So it was Bryce Lance, Finn Diggins with 3 receptions. Each quarterback, Cole Payton, was 13 of 16, passing for 166 yards and 1 touchdown. Safety Koa Akwai, KQUI had 2 interceptions, 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the third quarter. And then we move on to our next bundle of games, and let's see here. We had Sacramento State visiting FBS Nevada. Nevada survived a late push for Sacramento State to claim the 2017 win in Reno. The Wolfpack used a balanced offense effort to edge past the Hornets, who nearly pulled the upset in their second straight game against an FBS opponent. Sacramento State football team was 137 seconds away from a FBS victory, and they saw that lead disappear. Then twice looked to win the game, only to have plays overturned in a wild finish. 20-17 loss to Nevada on Saturday, leading 17-13 after a 3-yard run on the first down, which forced the Wolfpack to call their final timeout. Quarterback Cardell Williams had his arm hit as he threw. It was intercepted by Jonathan Maldonado, and the Wolfpack, who returned it 36 yards for the go-ahead touchdown. And Nevada survives Sacramento State, and they're still searching for their first win of the season. Monmouth and Fordham. This was Monmouth's offensive explosion for 49 points in that road victory. The Hawks established the run early, never letting up, piling up big plays on the ground and through the air, while the defense forced timely stops to keep the Rams from rallying. A total shootout where the Hawks led 34-21 at half. The offense churned out 15 points in the fourth quarter. Derek Robertson set multiple program records Saturday. Robertson accounted for a program best 7 total touchdowns, including another school record 6 passing scores. And the graduate quarterback was sharp all evening long, and he was completing 29 of 43 passes for 342 yards while breaking the program record of 300-yard passing games with his 10th. He had his first career rushing touchdown on a 1-yard keeper in the fourth quarter. Wide receiver Josh Derry was Robertson's top target and etched his name in Monmouth record book. Derry hauled in a career-high 10 receptions for 144 yards and tied the school record with 4 touchdown catches. That was a big win for Monmouth over Fordham. We're going to get back to those games shortly because we are now joined by the head coach for West Georgia. Get you in here, Coach, to get you all squared up and in focus. 5x5. Here we go, Coach. It is Coach JoelTaylor, West Georgia. How the heck are you, Coach? Great to see you. I know you guys are just coming off the football field. Got to be excited after a huge win.
Yeah, very, very excited. Road win, going down to Louisiana. Most guys' first time in Louisiana. It was my first time coaching Louisiana. And go down and face a really good team in Nicholls and come away with a win in a dominating fashion was tremendous for us.
Well, you guys obviously hired last year. We got a chance to talk to you, and you picked up a historic win over Sanford in 2024, your first win. You beat them again this year, and 2 big-time games for your program. You have to go on the road and face a ranked Nicholls program that, honestly, they beat UIW in week 1. You had to be going in there thinking this is going to be a tough matchup, and, Coach, you just handled them. What did you see going into that game that made you feel like I know thought you're going to win the football game, but what did you see that made you feel like it was a good matchup?
I'll be honest, it was really our preparation.
Okay.
We've been working our fannies off since January, and I knew we had a good football team, and we got a chance to play Sanford and kind of showed that, but you really didn't know what type of team you had. And then we got a chance to face a really good team in Nicholls.
Mhm.
I got a lot of respect for their head coach and the program that they have down there. It's a championship program. So it was an opportunity for us to see who we really were. And we did a good job of, executing for the most part. I told the kids, never in my 20 years have I had 3 turnovers in the first half
Yeah.
and come away with 14 points. So it was 14-3, and our defense played lights out, keeping us in the game, and then our offense started wearing them down a little bit, man. But it was really really good. It was nothing that I seen on them. That's a really good ball club. They're going to win a lot of ball games. We just did a good job of executing, keeping the ball in front of us, tackling. Just doing the things that it takes to win ball games, and super excited for our kids. And our kids are really resilient. That's the other thing I want to say too. We had some things that actually happened on the road that was kind of shell shocking. I won't get into it,
Okay.
but our kids kind of focused back in and handled the task at hand.
Well, let's take a look at some of the stats. It was a 34-10 win over Nicholls. It was number 22 in the country. Take a look at this number. 342 yards rushing on the ground, Coach. 62 through the air, 405 total offense. Controlled the game, 38 plus minutes in time of possession, 12 for 18 in third down conversions. I would imagine, Coach, going into this one, you think, okay, if I'm going to have 342 yards rushing and the ball 38 minutes plus, we're going to be in good shape. You did just that. Talk about your player Latrell Murrell's 171-yard performance, and then your run. What worked well with that run game?
Yeah, yeah. As I'm a defensive guy. I was a former
Yeah.
coordinator, so when you talk about them numbers, man, it makes me feel really, really good. You feel like you're gonna win the ball game, but we thought we'll probably have a little bit more, I guess, movement in the passing game going into it.
More balance,
We
sure.
did think they were stout in the run game. They're big up front, but after that first drive, we felt like, you know what, we can actually run the ball. We thought they were a little bit soft in the C and D gaps,
Okay.
so we took advantage of that. Our offensive line did a tremendous job, and I told the guys when I first got here, the offensive line is our lifeblood. If we're ever going to be good here, we got to be able to run the football. And we went into halftime, and Coach Davis came in and like, Coach, we can run the ball. I said, I know. I said, let's run it, and sure enough, offensive line took the challenge. Latrell, he's a tremendous back. I think a lot of people don't know about him. He was our third team back last year. But I'll be honest, he probably should have been our first team back. But he waited his turn, and now he's getting the opportunity. So it was good to see him. It was good to see the young freshman as well in TJ Lester. He was able to run for 2 touchdowns. And then Darren Widener with his legs, he converted some third downs for us. He finished with 103 yards rushing. So we moved the ball, pretty good. We was able to kind of oppose our will, in a sense, in the run game, and that's demoralizing, for the other team. At the end of the day, because he's a defensive guy too, and it's all about stopping the run. And they couldn't, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So my hats off to our offensive line and our offensive coaches. At the end of the day, we did what we set to do, and that was then going to be a little bit more tougher in the trenches, and we did that.
Coach, you told us about Davin Widener last year. Obviously, he stepped up. What have you seen as far as growth from the end of last season through the offseason and here in the first couple games of 2025?
Yeah, the one thing I challenged Davin, man, Davin had all the tools, man. He can throw it, he can run it. He is super intelligent. He sees protection, sees coverages, can get us in the right, protection. So he has all the tools. So what I challenge him to do is to be a better, be a really good leader. Because we can always be a better leader. Even myself. I got to look for ways to be a better leader each and every day. And that was one of the things I challenged him to do in the weight room, off the field, things of that nature. And he's done a nice job. And then we give those guys the opportunity to vote for leaders, and he had the most votes.
Wow.
So that just speaks volumes about his leadership and his growth. And I'm excited about him and the year he's going to have. He started a little slow as far as in the passing game, but he's gonna get it together. I know he will. We got to protect him, and we got to dang gonna do a good job of making good choices, and he'll do that. So I'm like I said, hey, we still haven't played our best ball yet, and that's I told the kid that's the exciting piece. We haven't played our best ball yet, and we're 2-0, and I think we've scored like whatever 68 points, and the
Yeah.
opponent only scored 13. So the future's bright, but we got to continue to stay humble, get ready for each opponent because each opponent is different. It don't matter if it's ranked, unranked, doesn't matter. And our kids know that. It's all about our preparation each and every week.
Well, Coach, you also because you ran the football so well, I'm going to give a little love to the offensive line. Talk us a little about that offensive group and who's your offensive line coach, and just talk about
Yeah.
how that progressed through the game and knowing you can run on Nicholls.
Yeah. So, funny story in a sense. My offensive coordinator last year was Dane Stevens, and he left and went to Ole Miss. And I promoted my offensive line coach, Austin Davis. And once I did that, I told her, "Hey, Austin, you can't coach offensive line no more. It's just too much to coach offensive line and also be an offensive coordinator." So what I did was I went out and got the best offensive line coach that I knew, and that was Nashawn Goddard from South Carolina State. And Nashawn is a former pro. He's won 2 titles. He's won some titles at South Carolina State. He sent some guys to the league. So he's done a phenomenal job with our offensive line. And then I also want to give a little credit to T.C. Carey. He's our offensive line graduate assistant, and those guys do a tremendous job working with those guys. And then, like I said, Austin Davis, our offensive coordinator, is an offensive line guy too. So we got 3 offensive line coaches, coaching them every day. So that's been the big piece for us. But getting guys to step up. Last year I thought we were not as good at the tackle spot. This year we got Brody Ballou, anchor in the left tackle spot. We got Cedric Richardson on the right tackle spot. Both of those guys, super athletic, really good football players. And then we subbed out our center, Misi was going to start for us last year,
Mm-hmm.
but we decided to redshirt him.
Okay.
So getting him back, and then his brother AJ is our left guard. So those guys get a chance to play with each other, and then we got Big Sam Regina. Sam is our captain of that group, and Sam is a tremendous player. I call him Mister UWG. Man, I tell you,
Okay.
he's head of SAC of our school,
Great.
and he's also a part of our Blue Coats organization, which is one of our top organizations on campus. So, but we got some really good players. We got some good backups: Bryson Wilson, David, Emmy. I can never say his last name. It's tough. African
But
last
trust me,
name.
I
But
just went through some of these names, Coach. Some of these names are
yeah,
tough.
so we got some good players, and we got some guys that are coming back healthy as well. Jacob
Great.
King, Cedric Nicely. So those guys, man, we got a pretty good 2 deep. So we're excited about our offensive line.
Jay Carter's leading your team in tackles. He's at the linebacker position. Anytime you kind of look at the defense, you see like a cornerback or safety, your leading tackle, you're like, they're getting past that first and second level of defense. Not so much with Jay Carter there. Talk about that young man.
Yeah, Jay Carter, man, that's a guy that's had tremendous growth as a player.
Mm.
When we came out of last spring, and he'll tell you, I wasn't a big Jay Carter fan, and I challenged him, and he came back, man, full head of steam. Started our first game, and he started every game since, man. And Jay Carter just has a knack of finding the football. Tremendous player, man. And then the guy next to him, Michael Thurman. You talking about pro talent. The guy's dang on 6'2.5", 230 pounds. That can run like a deer. You know what I mean? And I always tell our guys, man, make the play you're supposed to make.
Yeah.
Jay, he's starting off fast, right? Michael, probably the next 2 games, will probably just have many tackles as Jay. So those 2 side by side is a really good dynamic. And then we got a young freshman too, man. I'm excited about. His name is Jai Carter. He's going to be a good player for us for a long time, and he's a true freshman. And he can get in there and swap it out. So I really like him as well. So we got a good group there.
Coach, when you have a player that you feel like you can draw more out of, what is your approach to a young man that's got the athletic ability, maybe some between the mind, maybe the work ethic? We've seen a lot of different variations of why a player doesn't become what they need to become. But what is your approach to a player like that?
Yeah, I think you got to meet the player where he's at.
Okay.
That's the one thing, what I learned at South Carolina State University. We had really good players, but our niche there was to get the good players was, we got Prop 48s. So those guys were not eligible coming in
Mm,
and became eligible after you passed 24 hours, right? So, the challenge there was the teaching piece. And
okay.
that's the one thing that I fancy myself as a great teacher. But I like to meet them where they're at, however I can get to them, if it's on the board, on the field, if it's PowerPoint, diagrams, whatever it is. I just think I, have a good way of teaching and making it simplistic for them. It's crazy, when I was a coordinator, and we call it here now, we call it city ball.
Okay.
Multiplicity with simplicity. We're able to do a lot of different things, but we do a great job of coaching concepts. So we're not coaching plays. So the kids have a lot of carryover. But at the end of the day, as a great coach, you want to meet the kids where they're at. And we've done a phenomenal job of doing that. And we got a phenomenal staff that does that.
Before we jump into looking ahead to ETSU, how do you feel? What are some keys for this team? You're 2 games in. What are you seeing that you really like? What are some areas of improvements that you feel like you've got to improve on here as the season continues?
Yeah, I think for the most part, we call it we fence,
Mm.
offense, defense, and special teams. We've been doing a really good job of kind of playing some complementary ball. Our specialists are really good, man. We got 3 kickers that can put it through the upright. We got 3 kickers that can put it in the back of the end zone. We got a punter that can change the field. We got a punt returner that is lightning dangerous. So our special teams has improved drastically, and you see what we got on defense, man. Those guys are playing lights out. They're attacking the ball. They're playing fundamentally sound. They're keeping the ball in front of them. And then, like I said, offensively, we haven't played our best ball there yet. I think the first game, we had a couple penalties
Mm.
that put us back. Last game we had a couple turnovers that put us back. So I can't wait till we start, gelling on offense. And it takes a little bit on offense. I feel good about going into, the next game and those guys doing their best showing. And we're at home. We had
Yeah.
2 road games, and the road games are tough. They are, especially, a 8-9 hour bus ride. That's tough now. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited for these guys. They got 2 games under their belt. They get a chance to learn. They get a chance to get better. And I tell them it's all about execution. We got to get better on that execution. Those guys know it. So I'm excited to see those guys this week coming up.
From a coaching staff perspective, what do you feel like you and your offensive coordinator need to do better as far as your roles?
I don't know if it's do better.
Okay.
I think, what happens is I think we do a really good job. The organization, the things that we do as far as from, time on the field, time off the field. I think we do it better than any FCS in
Okay.
America.
Great.
And I believe that, but at the end of the day, it takes time to click.
Yeah.
It takes time. The time is being spent, and I can't wait for when that dang on light bulb pops. Right, it's going to be go time. So we're doing everything we can offensively. I think Austin Davis does a tremendous job, man. He studies. He has a great staff. He has a great mind for the game. Like I said, it's just a matter. Is it popping?
Yeah.
That's it.
And the reason I ask is because I was around Brian Bohannon in that Kennesaw State program, and you
Yeah.
think it's like Madden. You think it's like click a play and then execute, and that's not it. There's 1,000 things that go into a play call, and then everything that goes with it. Not only just from the operations to start the
Yep.
game all the way to the end to get the everything. The players there safely. I mean, all that stuff. And I think it's fascinating because when you do have new pieces in place, there's some things that just some it's tough. It's a really,
is.
really tough deal. And as a new program, second year head coach, I imagine you have grown a lot from that first year rather.
Yeah, tremendously. I tell everybody, my ambition wasn't to be a head coach.
Yeah.
It wasn't, right? But I knew that time would come. We was having a lot of success on defense, and having this opportunity at West Georgia. West Georgia is a tremendous place with tremendous growth potential. So for me to not pursue this opportunity, I would have been stupid. I had to get outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm not the guy that, I don't want to be the face of the program. That's not me. I want to be in the back. I want our kids to have success,
I don't
my
know. I hear
coaches to
that
have
JoelTaylor
success.
show is pretty popular out there.
But like I said, but that's something that's outside my comfort zone. And
Yeah.
but it's, when you look at it, defense, I was trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it at a larger level now. I'm just solving problems, each and every day, and it's exciting. But I get a chance to, put my spin on the team, and that's really exciting, man. So I'm just excited for the growth of this program. I'm excited the growth of me, and the one thing that I tell everybody is, like, that first year, man, you're pouring the concrete,
Yeah.
and you got to give it time to settle. You got to give it time to dry. And I don't know if my wife and I, we were trying to find a house in Carrollton, Georgia, and we were actually, selected to be on the House Hunter show.
No
Okay.
kidding.
Yeah, so we was on the House Hunter show. So that show maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. But
Okay. Is
I
this
tried to tell.
what does this Travel Channel? What channel is
Yeah,
this? Do
so
you
it's on
know?
HGTV.
HGTV. All right.
Yep, yep, on HGTV. So you get a chance to see the house that we selected. But
That's
I
fantastic.
use, yeah, I use the analogy of, building a home, when we're talking about building a program. I think it's so important, in today's world of the transfer portal. You got to get your team here in January,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So you can start building the foundation. Those kids got to understand what the culture is. They got to dang on gel as a team. They got to learn the plays, the schematics, and things of that nature. So from January to May, that's what we're doing. We're
Yeah.
building that foundation, right? And if you build a great foundation, then now you can start the construction phase, which we do in June and July. Okay. Now we're becoming closer as a team. Now we're here in the summertime working out, practicing, doing all those things. So now we're putting up the framework. Now we're putting up the doors. Now we're putting up the windows and things of that nature. And then now, from August to October, that's the showcase, right? So now we're
Yeah.
showing everybody our house. Now we got to do a great job as well taking care of our house. So I talk to the kids about, you got to do a great job with your recovery. You got to go to sleep at night. You got to hydrate. You got to eat. You got to do all those things, man, right? Because if you don't take care of your house, right, that light fish are going to fall down. The door is going to be on its hinges, things of that nature. So, we got to do a great job of doing those things, because in November and December, that's the championship phase.
Right.
You want to play your meaningful games in November and December. So that's how we kind of, want to build our foundation and build our program, as we go along here.
Let's turn our focus to ETSU this weekend. You mentioned at home. They're 1-1. They took a thumping to Tennessee, but it got a big paycheck for it. So that's the way the FCS rolls. They put up a lot of points, right? It's a little skewed because of their the lopsided loss. But Will
Yeah.
Healy's a very well-respected head coach. I think it's going to be a tough task for your team. But I thought Nicholls State was going to be a tough task for your team, and you handled them well. What do you see out of ETSU Buccaneers as you scout them?
Yeah, I think they're, talented on both sides of the ball. They've done a nice job in the transfer portal. But I know, being a first year coach last year, bringing in, 75 new players,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to get those guys to jail really, really fast, But also, last year we went 4-7, and we should have won 3 more games, right? But those kids never played together. You know what I mean? So, like, it's third down, right? You think they know how to play third down, but they playing it like, it's first down, and you
Right.
can't do that.
Right.
So they have to get that going really, really fast. Where I think we're a little bit ahead there. But Will Healy, got a lot of respect for them. Coach Chad Staggs, I've known him for years, man, for years. Me and him talk ball. We went against each other. He was at Charleston Southern when I was at the Citadel. So I know he's a good ball coach. So they're going to come out flying around on defense. They're going to dang on, they got 2 quarterbacks, on offense, and they're going to spread it around a little bit. But we got to dang on do a great job of taking care of ourselves. It's not about what they do, it's about what we do and how we do it at the end of the day. We know, and we got to dang on know what their fastball is. We got to make them left-handed at the end of the day. But like I said, Will and those guys do a good job, but I think we do a good job too. And, we're home, so hopefully that gives us advantage with our home crowd. But at the end of the day, we just got to then go and worry about ourselves and control the controllables.
Yeah, get out there and watch that one. West Georgia and Eastern Tennessee State University, ETSU, the Buccaneers coming into town. Coach, what a joy it is to talk to you again. I'm so happy for your program. You're 2-0. The hunter has become the hunted.
Yes.
And that is that's where you want to be as West Georgia program. So happy for you, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck this weekend against ETSU, and I really, really certainly appreciate you and your SID staff putting this together for the interview. I really do.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Yes, sir. That is Coach JoelTaylor, the head coach from West Georgia. What a great guy. We got a chance to talk to him last year. He came from the Citadel, had spent time at South Carolina State. Really, really great young coach in the FCS level. Super happy that he was able to join us here on the FCS Checkdown. But we're going to get back into the game recaps and then wrap this episode up. Let's see if I can get this silly thing here. All right, I think this is where we are or were. I think we talked about Monmouth and Fordham. Let me see, where's my script? La-da-dee, la-da-dee. Here we go. All right. Had we talked about? Yeah, I think we talked about Monmouth, and we need to talk about Villanova and you hear these papers rolling around here? Here we go. Villanova and Colgate. Quarterback Pat McQuaid out of Solon, Ohio, became the Wildcats' second straight signal caller to set a record for most passing yards in his team debut. His total of 299 yards and strong play on both sides of the ball led the number 12 Villanova Wildcats to a 24-17 victory over Colgate. By the way, Colgate's a very tough team. They had an excellent recruiting offseason, so don't sleep on Colgate. I think they're going to be a pretty good football program. And they even put up 17 points against Villanova is pretty impressive. Let me get a swig of water. Hang on. As my grandma would say, just a swig, just to wet my whistle. All right, the difference in the game was a 56-yard touchdown pass by McQuaid thrown to graduate wide receiver Lucas Kopecki out of Rock Hill, New Jersey in the final minutes of the third period. McQuaid finished the night 18 of 28 through the air and 340 yards of total offense, including one of each passing and rushing touchdowns. 41 yards rushing for him was a career high. It was a win for Villanova. Colorado State and Northern Colorado, 17-21 was the score. 21-17 was the score. Colorado State escaped the upset bid by Northern Colorado with the win at Canvas Stadium. The Rams leaned on their defense late, stopping the Bears on the final drive to secure a narrow victory. The Rams rallied with two late rushing scores, including a game winner of 13-yard keeper with 44 seconds left in the regulations. A last-second Northern Colorado touchdown pass was overturned after review, and that sealed the victory. All right. In the CAA, Rhode Island had a strong second half to knock off Stony Brook 31-17 on the road. After a special teams turnover led to Stony Brook's first touchdown, the Rams found themselves in a hole 10-0 in the first quarter. 24-0 second quarter for the Rhode Island's favor turned the tide and put the Rams in control. Quarterback Devin Farrell was 20 of 34, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Running back Antoine Littleton Jr. ran for 122 yards, 1 touchdown, while also catching 5 passes for 33 yards and a second touchdown. Littleton Jr. has scored 4 touchdowns in his first 2 games as a Ram. Very impressive for that young man and a big win for Rhode Island. All right. Rounding out, let's see. Here we go. It was University of Texas Rio Grande Valley picking up the win over Prairie View. It's just the second game in this program's history, and the Vaqueros made history with that 27-21 win over Prairie View. The Vaqueros football team secured that thrilling win, making it the first road win and the first win over an NCAA Division I opponent. Key moments included a late forced fumble by Elijah Prosser, recovered by Elijah Graham, and a go-ahead touchdown by Nathan Denny with 2 minutes and 21 seconds left. Denny had a standout performance with 101 201 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, 5 catches for 37 yards. Quarterback Eddie Lee Marburger threw for 263 yards and 1 touchdown, while receiver Tony Diaz contributed 121 yards receiving and a touchdown. The defense, led by Jaden Haygood and Spencer Rich with 11 tackles each, made crucial stops in the game. The Vaqueros dominated early, leading 17-0 after the first quarter with a touchdown pass to Diaz, a 21-yard rushing touchdown by T.J. Dimmitt. Panthers did fight back, however, taking a brief 21-20 lead in the fourth quarter before the Vaqueros regained control. They outgained the Panthers 248-96 in the first half and held a strong defensive effort for key moments. The Vaqueros now hold a 2-0 record and will play its next game against Langston on September 13th. And this was a shocker. San Diego defeats Southern Utah. Graduate running back Matt Colombo delivered a heroic performance as San Diego stunned number 24 Southern Utah in overtime last Saturday night. The victory marked the Toreros' first home win over a ranked opponent and their first ranked triumph overall since 2017. Colombo powered the offense with 208 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, including a decisive 3-yard score in overtime. San Diego's defense limited the Thunderbirds to just 142 yards in the first half before Southern Utah found its footing, finishing with 410 total yards. Quarterback Bronson Barron threw for 328 yards, the program's first 300-yard passer since 2023, while receiver Gabe Nunez became the Thunderbirds' first 100-yard receiver of the season. It was not enough, and it's San Diego picking up the win 30-27 over the Thunderbirds of Southern Utah. That's a bit of a shocker there. And, you know, you kind of got to pull it together. Delane Fitzgerald, we love Delane Fitzgerald. We think he's a fantastic head coach, but you've just haven't been able to put it together in some wins that I think, or some games that I think that you should have won. You're not picking up wins in, and that is always dangerous for a head coach because winning is what matters. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the FCS CheckDown. We did a little the first half, second half today. We want to thank LIU head coach Ron Cooper for joining us in the first half, and West Georgia's head coach Joel Taylor for joining us in the second half. Brandon Joseph was available in the first half. Coach Ron Jackson had a family emergency. Our thoughts and prayers are with him as he's taking care of the family business, and we want to wish everybody out there a safe and happy week 3 as FCS football continues. Some big games coming up. We'll have some picks either out on social media or Wednesday if we get a chance to make another episode. We'll see what's going on with Ron Jackson, but I don't want to make any commitments for him. So for Brandon Joseph, I'm Nathan McCrary. We say so long from the FCS Checkdown. We'll see you later this week, I think. If not, have a great week 3 of the FCS football. Let's go.